welcome to That's Based. Happy Saturday. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore, reporting from somewhere underground. We're laughing our way through the end of days, and we're brought to you by Outlaw Streamers Live 365 on Chris Baker Radio and our friends over at Blood of Tyrants Wines. Drink bloodoftyrants.com with the promo code BASED. You're going to save 10% off your order at the checkout. DrinkBloodOfTyrants.com. Promo code BASED will save 10% off your order at the checkout. They have a red and a white blend along with the Liquid Freedom energy drink that you see pictured right there. If you're cool enough to follow along on YouTube and Rumble, one more time, it's DrinkBloodOfTyrants.com with the promo code BASED to save 10% off your order at the checkout. Stockholm Mia, the red face of white supremacy, is here with us as usual. How's it going this morning? Good. We Monday, airing Monday, your normally scheduled time. We're going to be having Chris Baker, none other than Chris Baker, on the show. He sat down for about an hour and 45 minutes with us. We chopped up all kinds of shit. We talked about everything from the radio from his radio days to what he's doing right now to what he's going to be doing soon, or hopes to be doing, that is. To the infamous tweet that got him canceled. We talked about everything. From here to the sun. It's a good time. That's going to air Monday, so don't forget to tune in. We are going to be the second people that interviewed Chris since his recent announcement, so that'll be a good time to check out there. Okay, but we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Okay, yeah. No, I'm not going to make that announcement. We've got a couple other things, but we'll announce that later on in the show. Okay. Before we get into anything, though, I think it's time for the current state of the left.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
All right, this week on the current state of the left, it is time to play Which Liberal Most Belongs in a Mental Institution. Now, here's the rules, and they're simple. As we all know, every liberal belongs in a mental institution, but by rule, one of them must belong in there more than the others. If I give you Sydney Sweeney and Sabrina Carpenter and, some other hot chick, and I say, one of them's, they can all be hot, but one of them's got to be hotter than the rest. This is like the opposite of that. We're just taking unattractive, crazy people, and you're telling us which one is the most unattractive and crazy. So we've got a couple of contestants here. This first one was a woman, quote unquote, who got very upset, ironically enough, at somebody else's Halloween costume. See if you can catch what I'm talking about here.
You should probably just mind your own fucking business, bro.
She's dressed as a Native American.
Are you trans? Is that a costume or is that how you are? Huh?
Do I look trans?
A little bit.
You look trans too.
But it's also Halloween. I look trans?
Why don't you just mind your own business?
I'm not even talking to you.
I don't give a
You
fuck
look
what
fine,
you're
but
talking
You're
about.
offended? You're offended, but you're dressed up like a girl.
Right? I have a beard. Do girls have beards?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, when they take hormones and shit, they get them.
Just keep fucking walking down the street.
I will, but I said what I had to say.
Yeah, you
Just
said
letting
it.
you know.
Now you can get the fuck out of here.
She can talk for herself too, right?
She clearly doesn't want to because you're fucking disrupting her life. So just fucking walk down the
That's
street.
it. I will just fucking walk down the street.
Good, please.
She can talk for herself. Well, maybe she doesn't want to talk to the giant cross-dressing freak that's breathing down her neck. Did you ever consider that? So if you're listening along on audio, that was a man in woman face. That's what we're gonna start calling transgenderism from here on out. Woman face, kind of like blackface, that was criticizing a woman for dressing as a Native American chief. Now the irony there is he's accusing her of cultural appropriation because she's wearing a stupid costume, whereas his whole lifestyle is making a mockery of women. What do you think about the Indian costumes, or have you ever really cared all that much?
I've never really cared. I've never really thought twice about it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. I'm going to start doing that when I see mobster costumes or Super Mario Brothers. I'm just going to start walking up and going, hey, my culture is not your costume. Next Halloween, some kids are going to come dressed as Mario and Luigi, and their parents are going to think it was the cutest thing until this asshole gave them a 30-minute lecture on appropriation of the culture of Italian Americans. That's what's going to be Halloween at the Salvatore House next year.
I remember a new girl, Schmidt, dressed up in like a headdress and stuff for Halloween one year, and like it wasn't a big deal. And now, if they did that today,
Well, because it
people would
started,
throw like a fit.
yeah, it started being a big deal like 8 years ago, and now it's not. Well, so here's how you know the culture's shifting, is because some guy decided to come over there up on his self-righteous high horse and criticize this woman and getting her and try to yell at her for dressing up as a Native American. And a couple of years ago, that would have met condemnation, not the guy's actions, but what she was wearing from everybody around her. But you had a group of people just kind of collectively tell this dude to fuck off and that he was out of line. That's how you know the culture's shifting. And the reaction to that online, everyone said the guy was out of line for going out of his way to harass some random woman. So people have had enough of this woke shit, and they're finally standing up to it. So now I probably wouldn't go as an Indian chief for Halloween, not because it's racist, but because I don't want to deal with the makeup and the headdress and all that. It would take too long. We should do that. You'll go as an Italian stereotype, and I'll go as an Indian stereotype for Halloween next year. But we'll do we won't do like proud ones, right? So we won't be like Al Capone or Chiefs or anything. Mia can go as Andrew Cuomo, and be a pervert, and I'll just be a drunk. And that's what we'll do. We'll just be as racist against each other's ethnicities as possible. Well, we've got one more here because we've reserved a special slot. We do not have a third contestant in which liberal most belongs in a mental institution, but we do have this lovely woman here that got caught on the local news when being asked about her SNAP benefits.
Ever been to the food bank before?
No, we never have.
This is your first time here.
Correct.
Are you scared?
Well, highly afraid because, we didn't ask for these kids to come. And what are we going to do? Deny them? We have them. We have to take care of them. We have to find a way. And it's hard right now with everything that's going on. People are even afraid to come out of their houses to work. It's really bad.
What?
And especially with everything going on with the president saying that we have to hang in there. How are we going to hang in there with the kids? There's no way at all.
Thanksgiving coming up.
Especially imagine the people. It's not fair for anybody.
What is your message right now to the federal government?
What can we say? It's unfair.
Well, of all the people I was criticizing in the Snap videos last week, she wasn't spending any money getting her eyebrows done. So on the bright side, that money's not getting wasted there. Mother of the Year, though, right, Mia? Mother of the Year. To say in front of a news camera, I didn't ask for these kids, but somebody's got to feed them. Mother of the Year. What do you think about that?
I took that as she didn't ask, I didn't take it as, she didn't ask for the kids.
What did you take it as?
I don't know, maybe I was watching it wrong.
Play it one more time.
She was just I felt like she was rambling.
Play it one more time.
Ever been to the food bank before?
No, we never have.
This is your first time here.
Correct.
Are you scared?
Well, highly afraid because, we didn't ask for these kids to come. And what are we going to do? Deny them? We have them. We have to take care of them. We have to find a way. And it's hard right now with everything that's...
Oh, I took that as, she didn't want to bring them.
No, she didn't. We have to take care of them. We have to do something with them. She's talking about we didn't ask for these kids.
Oh, I took that. Oh, maybe I was just interpreting it.
Mother of the Year. Mother of the Year. The internet's a great place because now what we're getting, because people like me have been calling for EBT and welfare reform for a long time, longer than I've been on the air, actually. I don't want to totally get rid of it, but we should absolutely be a little bit more selective in terms of who actually gets it, in my opinion. With that said, I think this is great because this is actually going to get us SNAP reform. These videos, these people coming on here and throwing their children under the bus and things like that, and videos like the one I'm going to show you in a second here, I think when people see this, it's going to sway public opinion against it. And the shift in public opinion isn't going to come from some smooth-talking politician. It'll be the words of the people who are receiving SNAP. It'll be from the people who post videos to their TikTok about their quote-unquote EBT haul, just like this one.
I'm in the club with all my bitches. This shit overly loaded. All these rats on me, I can't even hold them. Sheesh! Look at that motherfucker. Look at that motherfucker.
Look at all that food. You're paying for that. And it's all crap. Soda, chips, candy, donuts.
Loaded.
Garbage. Garbage. More garbage. Shitty name brand cereal. She didn't splurge on the name brand broth.
Loaded. Not too much on the meat, y'all. We couldn't get much meat because the refrigerator all the motherfucking packed. So what the fuck more can we do? But we're gonna have to go back and get some more shit because we still ain't loaded. Oh no.
So that's what you pay for with EBT. Mia, has our fridge ever been that full?
No.
No. No, you know what? It was one time. It was when your brother's power went out and we agreed to hold on to their food so it didn't expire. And you know what? They didn't have enough food to fill our fridge.
Yeah,
our food plus theirs combined didn't fill our fridge like that.
You know what I noticed? Is she had an entire stack of those those microwavable meals that you get
garbage,
for one for 10 for $1.
Cancer in a box. Yeah.
She could easily get ingredients to pack all of those.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
For, the same price. It would be healthier.
Absolutely it would be. It would be. And you don't want to know the best part about this is a never-ending cycle. So you get to pay for people like this to go out and eat like shit. Right? To go out and buy all this processed, sugary, boxed garbage on your dime. And then when their diet inevitably causes them to have either diabetes or heart disease, you get to turn around and pay for them to go to the doctor to get those problems solved. Meanwhile, you're barely scraping by. And like I said, none of you listening to this show in the last 5 years have had your fridge look anything remotely close to that, or none of you have filled 4 shopping carts at the grocery store, but you get to pay for people who do. And then you get to go on your shitty employer health insurance plan, or if God forbid the ACA, and you get to spend $9,000 because you found a problematic mole. That's what you get to do. While you get to pay for people. You do everything right. You check all the boxes. You put in the work. You haul ass to have a little bit of dignity and take care of your family, and you get to pay for people that live like that. Twofold, to eat like shit, and then to go get medical assistance when their shitty choices get them. And that's the thing, is they don't have an excuse. When you get that much money in EBT, you can absolutely afford to eat healthy. I'm not saying you got to go to Whole Foods, whole paycheck, as Dave Ramsey calls it. You can afford, like Mia said, to get real ingredients and make real food. You really can. You don't have to eat garbage. In fact, Mia makes this old reservation recipe for goulash, and it's like hamburger and tomato paste and noodles, and it's fucking delicious, and it'll feed a family of 4 for a week for like $7. You can do that, and it's not processed garbage, but they don't do that. They got to go buy the Totino's pizza. What self-respecting person eats a Totino's pizza? I mean, they're truly vomit-inducing. When's the last time you've had one of those? Can you even think?
When I was a kid.
Yeah. Even then, I hated them. I mean, now it's like, I don't like frozen pizzas, period. Because, I mean, at this point, fuck, they're so fucking expensive. You might as well just make your own. But, give me, Red Baron or something. Don't give me Totino. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. If you're eating a Totino's pizza while you're listening to this, throw it away. And then I want you to go and look yourself in the mirror and apologize. Apologize to yourself for failing yourself like that because you ate a Totino. You fucking disgust me. Do you understand that? How repulsive that shit is? Don't ever do that again. If you have a Totino's pizza in your freezer, I want you to take it and throw it out. Throw it in the trash. Don't throw it out the window because it's not good enough for the animals to eat. The animals won't eat it. If you throw a Totino's pizza out in the trash and raccoons go through it, they will search underneath it to find different garbage to eat if it means they can avoid your Totino's pizza. Now it's time for a word from our sponsors. This week's episode is brought to you by Totino's Pizza. You go to totinospizza.com and you use the promo code FIRED. You will not save any money because we're no longer on their sponsorship list. Okay. The last nominee for which liberal most belongs in a mental institution is the entire Democratic Party of the state of Virginia, as they voted in Jay Jones as Attorney General, who we'll talk about later. We're not even going to put it to a vote. You guys are the winner. You all belong in one giant collective mental institution. That has been our opening segment. Stay tuned. We got a whole bunch more coming up next. All right, and before we get into store brand TMZ, a big shout out to our friends over at Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com with the promo code BASED. You're going to save 10% off your order at the checkout, or 15, sorry, on gifts for the Patriot in your life. Tactilian.com has a great selection of decor for your home and office, decals for your vehicle, accessories for your dog, and clothing for you. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com with the promo code BASED. You'll save 15% off your order at the checkout, and a portion of the proceeds are going to go to help build homes for wounded veterans. Veterans Day is coming up. Who wouldn't want to do that? That's how you can give back, not just to me, but to your community, but most importantly to me. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com. With the promo code BASED, you will save 15% off your order at the motherfucking checkout. Okay, it's time for store brand TMZ. Justin Bieber! All right, entertainment news this week. Dictionary.com has picked its word of the year. Mia, did you hear what the word of the year is?
I did.
6-7.
Yes.
You've got to be fucking kidding me.
I asked my sister about what it meant.
Did you ask? Did she get the same thing that I found on the Google?
Yes.
That it means nothing.
Nothing.
6-7, for those of you that don't know, the kids say it, and it means nothing. That's the joke. They say 6-7, and it's funny because it's not. Because it means nothing. So, there's your word of the year. Dictionary.com has gone full brain rot. It's over. It's over. The people that write the dictionary have become the drooling retards now. We're fucked. This is Idiocracy. Have you seen Idiocracy? Mia? No? Idiocracy. If you haven't seen it, it's Mike Judge that made King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead was the one who made it. And Terry Crews is the president. And he's a professional wrestler. He's President Camacho. And everyone's just an idiot. And you should really go watch it because this is where we are now. Next up, Bonnie Blue, the OnlyFans whore, famous for sleeping with 1,000 men in a 24-hour span, has been going on the podcast circuit. And she finally met her match. There's this weird, funny Middle Eastern kid named Matan, who brings his guests on and just tries to make them uncomfortable, but in that weird Middle Eastern way. You guys know how they're very straightforward and gruff. That's what this kid did. So he brought Bonnie on, and he brings in a guy in a hazmat suit to put up a screen between them, and this is the interaction about that. Go ahead.
I'm hard of hearing a little bit because I've put a screen here to block me from you.
Okay, that's cool.
So if I'm not really hearing what you're saying, that would probably be why.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the sound would travel over and through the side, but okay, maybe sound doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. You're not a scientist. Remember that. You're a whore.
Mm-hmm.
So they had that interaction, and then he just proceeded to spend the entire show roasting her. And we've got a compilation of some of the greatest hits.
Introduce yourself, please, in case anybody doesn't know you.
Okay, no problem. I am the girl that slept with 1,057 men in just 12 hours, and I take anyone from to barely breathe in.
Okay, so essentially what she's trying to say, she's a disgusting whore, What do you think will be the average lifespan of your children? 12, 13 years old?
No, a lot older. I think they're going to live a very happy, long life if I have children. They'll be able to get good health care, and what more can you ask for?
But healthcare won't solve a broken neck from hanging yourself or a shotgun to the face.
For sure, but that's not to say my children aren't going to be happy or they're not going to support my career.
You think your children will support your career?
100%.
You look like you're 40 or 50, but you're actually 26.
Yes.
Wow, did you know that?
Yeah, I see that comment a lot.
I'm making my own personal observation.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people have said it because it's a little obvious. Did you know that?
I've just said yes.
Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
So how old do you think you look? 55, 60?
No, 26.
You think you look 26?
Yeah.
You think that if a person wasn't familiar with you and they looked at you, they would think that you look 26 years old?
I'm in good shape. I've got good hair, good skin.
I saw you claim that your father was supportive of your career. Is he also clinically insane, or does he deserve a fucking knuckle sandwich or something? I mean, what's the deal with that?
No, he is supportive. Obviously, he does not watch my adult content at all.
I'm not asking if he watch. I'm not claiming that. That would be extremely weird. I'm asking if he's like a horrible guy, essentially.
No, he's really sweet. He's really nice, my dad. Once I explained it, and my parents aren't old, but they're not in the generation we're
They're
in.
like 80?
No, they're in their 50s. For us, only
You're in
fans
your 50s,
and
so
fans.
did they have you at 1 year old?
No, that's incorrect.
So how does that work?
As I've said, your opinions aren't factual.
Oh,
The
sorry,
facts
I
are
forgot
I'm
that you're actually
26.
26. Holy shit, you look like you're 50.
Yeah, crazy. That's a really
Go ahead.
cool
Sorry about
fact.
that. I just got confused. My eyes are deceiving me.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, first, why do the room they're recording in look like it's like in a dark web murder live stream? That's what it looks like. But that's like part of the shtick of his show. What did you think of are you going to tune in to watch that whole podcast?
I think I'll pass.
You think you'll pass? Here's the thing. The age of the sex worker is coming to an end because nobody would have dreamed of doing that 10 years ago when, the whole sex work is real work movement was coming along. But people just got so sick of having that crap shoved down their throat, and I think they started to realize what a plague. I think you had a lot of guys go, oh, this thing that I've been doing since I was 11 years old, actually, it's normal, but it shouldn't be normal. Like, this isn't okay. I'm a victim of this. And they lost a lot of respect for that industry. And now you're kind of seeing it come full circle, where you've got this kid who is just publicly shaming this girl for what she does, and nobody can really say shit because the majority of society kind of agrees with him on it. Next up, so did you hear about these monkeys in Mississippi? You heard about the Mississippi monkeys? Like, you did not just say that. Wow. Wow. No. Actual monkeys. Holy shit.
Would you expect anything less of me?
Wow. Even I got taken back by that one. Stockholm Mia. That's why she's the red face of white supremacy, ladies and gentlemen. No. So there's a truck transporting these monkeys through Mississippi, because they don't have labs there, where they're going to take, I think it was in Georgia, they were going to take it to a lab where they were going to do some experiments on them and immunology and all kinds of shit like that. The truck tips over and the monkeys escape. Tips over on the highway and these infected monkeys escape. Now, the police and animal control managed to wrangle and kill all but one of these monkeys, which, if you want to be honest, getting shot by a cop is probably a way better way to go than what they were going to be subjected to, which was a whole bunch of nasty testing. So those of you animal rights bleeding hearts out there can just fucking calm down. But one was missing. Yes, this does sound like the start to a science fiction movie. And yes, it did also happen several years ago, I believe in Pennsylvania, where you had monkeys escape from a tipped over truck and just wreak havoc in the neighborhood. Monkeys that had been injected with, I think, COVID, some new variant of COVID. And so all these memos start going out to the public. They're saying, hey, do not engage with these monkeys. They're potentially dangerous. And a mother in Mississippi was out with her kids in the yard, and the monkey came running up to him, and she had heard all the alerts from the local police and the news. So she did what any good Southerner would do, and she busted a cap in its ass, and she fucking killed it right there. And people are mad at this woman. She saved us from the zombie virus. If this woman was in The Walking Dead, it's one episode long. She's a hero. How do trucks full of infected monkeys keep tipping over? I thought it's like Michael Myers or something like that. How do they keep tipping over? You'd think somebody would go, hey, let's not let Bill drive the truck full of infected monkeys this time. He had a few too many last night. I think he might still be a little drunk. Maybe we let somebody else drive the truck of infected monkeys. Maybe we have a contingency plan with the truck so that if it does tip over, the infected monkeys don't escape. I'm just spitballing. I'm at what you call an idea guy, okay? Next up, Billie Eilish accepted some fake award that makes a bunch of celebrities feel good about themselves, and she decided to criticize several people sitting in the audience, including Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Let's see what the big titty retard bitch had to say.
Love you all, but there's a few people in here that have a lot more money than me. And if you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
For those of you wondering, Billie Eilish's net worth is approximately $50 million. $50 million. So there's that. She should start if she's going to start giving money away. You should practice what you preach. I understand she's not a billionaire, but she should practice what she preaches there. Well, also, shorties? What the hell is that? Where did her black scent go? Every other time I've heard her talk, she's talking like she's Wonder Bread Newsom, straight out of Compton. Is she changing it up when she's with the billionaires or something like that? Here's my thing. What idiots like Billie Eilish don't realize, or they do and they just don't care. And you know it's bad. I'm not a Mark Zuckerberg fan. I'm not an Elon Musk fan. I'm not a Jeff Bezos fan. Yes, I said his name right this time. I didn't say Bezos like an old man like your brother criticized me for. I'm not a fan of any of these guys. And you're going to make me come out and defend them. Because, or Peter Thiel or any of these guys, they're psychopaths that want to spy on all of us, right? But at the end of the day, you have to, when you say, why don't the billionaires just give their money away? How stupid are you? Do you think that if a guy's worth $50 billion, that means he's just got $50 billion sitting in his little Chase Bank checking account? He started a saving, one of the college saving? No. It's just in a piggy bank, right? Stop mistaking net worth for liquid cash. These guys that have a net worth of $50 billion, most of that, these CEOs and these business owners, is tied into stock options and what they own and the perceived value of their company. So if these guys, quote unquote, gave their money away, shorties, 10,000 people or more would lose their job overnight. They'd give it away to some bullshit charity where the execs take 97% off the top. 30,000 people would lose their jobs overnight, and it would have a net negative on society. Now, we're going to clip this, because what's going to happen is we're going to get a bunch of smooth brains that comment, and they just go, oh, imagine simping for billionaires. Deep throat the boot a little harder. None of them will ever address what I said, because either A, they know it's true, or B, they lack the mental capacity to come up with a coherent argument, because they're stupid. But that's the truth. When you talk about these people, just give your money away. Just give your money away. Just give your money away. Well, if they did that, a lot of people, including some of you, would get royally screwed over by that. Okay, next one. Abilene Christian University played Tarleton State University. These are Division FCS schools. Both of them are in Texas in a football game. Abilene Christian won. And the day after they won, they were forced to tweet out this apology. Pull this up here. Many of you saw a post after ACU's football win over Tarleton State. The post was not only unprofessional, it was inconsistent with the values of ACU. The content has been removed because it fell short of our standard, and we apologize to anyone who may have been hurt or offended. Our standards are higher than what was conveyed in that post, and we will ensure you experience that moving forward. Now, when you hear that, you're thinking this must be like some of the most offensive, vulgar, race. I mean, Mia, what are you thinking they tweeted here based on that apology without knowing anything further?
I'm thinking something on like a Peggy Hill level for, remember when she
with the Irish?
With the Irish, yeah.
Something just blatantly racist, right? Well, here was the tweet. It just says, Tarleton is not a state. That prompted a social media intern to be disciplined and a public apology from the university. They beat Tarleton State and tweeted, Tarleton is not a state. These are the people that you cut them in line at the gas station and then they apologize to you. That's what is Abilene Christian? Is that what sect of Christianity is that? Let's look it up real quick. I want to know because that'll tell us a lot. Abilene Christian sect. Let's see here. Churches of Christ denomination. What is that? Is that like Rock and Roll Jesus Church that I'm thinking of? Churches of Christ? I don't know. We're going to assume it is. Okay, we got one more here. Hunter Schafer went on the Jimmy Fallon show. Hunter Schafer is the famous, quote-unquote famous, transgender actor known best for Euphoria. And that's the only thing I know that this guy was in. And Jimmy Fallon, it's Fallon, right? Yeah, Jimmy Fallon sparked a whole bunch of backlash because of this transphobic comment he made. Go ahead and check it out. And I'm going to warn you, trigger warning. This could really, really disturb some of you, what he says here. Okay.
For Halloween, I was obsessed with how the Capitol people were in costumes, and I made my own costume.
Oh, bud.
I know.
This is unbelievable. This is really cool.
Yeah, I think
now you're in Hunger Games.
I know, as a Capitol.
As a Capitol person.
It's crazy. It's really, yeah, crazy.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, bud. Come on, is that
kind of like not too far off from me.
not bad?
Yeah.
Congratulations, bud. Bud. You know that last word just cut through his soul. Bud. Here's the thing about Hunter Schafer. Hunter Schafer is probably, and I don't keep an inventory, so I could be totally off on this, probably the most passable trans woman in Hollywood. Would you say that?
Oh, for sure.
And you still know it's a dude. The mannerisms, the body shape, the voice is just a little too try-hardy. Something is just uncanny valley about it, and you still know it's a dude.
The thing is, though, Jimmy Fallon calls everybody bud in his interviews.
Even women?
Even women.
So this is just manufactured bullshit outrage.
Yeah.
Okay.
He even calls Taylor Swift bud in his interviews.
Taylor Swift isn't trans? I wasn't aware. Okay.
Yeah, he says it to everybody. Like, that's nothing new.
Okay. So, but they're still outraged. The same way they were outraged about the Ed Gein series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or no one associated that with that. This show really makes me want to hate trans women, but a whole bunch of trans women saw a necrophiliac that wears his victims' masks as Halloween costumes and went, "This is about me." Hey, if the shoe fits, sweetheart, I don't know what to tell you.
Why do you keep calling me Bill?
Okay, that's been Storebrand TMZ. We will be right back with trending this week. Stay tuned. All right, and before we get into trending this week, we have got a couple of shout-outs. A shout-out to our sponsors at Firecracker Farms, firecracker.farm.com.org.net, firecracker.farm. With the promo code BASE, you'll save 10% off your order at the checkout. Go buy hot salt now. Hot salt is the last seasoning I've ever needed. I have to stop saying last seasoning you'll ever need. It's the last seasoning I need. Firecracker.farm. Hot sauce, a combination of Mediterranean sea salt, scorpion pepper, Carolina Reaper, and ghost pepper. And it goes great on everything. Go to firecracker.farm right now. Use the promo code BASED. Like the title of the show, you're going to save 10% off your order at the checkout. Made on a family farm with love. You can avoid all the tariffs and that other nonsense, and you can support real, hardworking American patriots the next time you dine in your home. Firecracker.farm with the promo code BASE. You know what it goes really well on? Is shrimp. You throw a little shrimp, get some like frozen shrimp, I'll throw it on the Blackstone, and I'll sprinkle some hot salt on it, and I'll have it with my steak. Fan-fucking-tastic. Shrimp is also a great source of protein, for those of you that are wondering out there. Okay. A couple announcements. We'll have, like I said, Chris Baker is going to be back on making his return to That's Based, letting us know what he's been up to, what he's going to be up to soon. That'll be Monday at your normally scheduled time, wherever you get your shows that we aren't banned. And then Wednesday, my friend of the show, Rico St. Cloud, is coming back on. He's running for Lieutenant Governor of Ohio as a Democrat, and there's some turmoil in his party, and he's got an opinion on it. He wants us to know what his opinion on it is. And I've talked to Rico, and I've said maybe you should consider running as a populist Republican rather than a Democrat, and we'll see what he says about that, among other things. That'll be Wednesday in place of unsolicited advice this week. So lots of fun guests coming on. I'm working on some others. We want to keep the show more interesting. I know you love hearing me, and we like the stories and everything, but every now and then it's fun to bring some new faces on and talk about some different topics. So I'm working on that, on branching out beyond just what we normally do here. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And none of these people, by the way, that we're talking to are people that are going to expand the show to a new audience. I'm doing this for you, for our core audience that want to hear other interesting conversations. So you're welcome. You can Venmo me at Caleb Salvatore, so thank you. All right, let's do Heartland Hot Takes real quick. Heartland Hot Takes. Let's talk some local news before we get into what's blowing up in the world. So this is here. We were just here a couple weeks ago, and we were the oldest people by 20 years that were there. At Scary Acres, a teen gets a $10 million bond after he allegedly made terroristic threats against Halloween attraction in Sarpy County. 18-year-old was charged with terroristic threats. His bond set to $10 million, made his first court appearance. Sarpy County Sheriff's deputy was dispatched on October 6th to Scary Acres after a comment was made on the attraction's Instagram page saying, and I quote, "Finna shoot you guys up," end quote. The head of security at Scary Acres, a retired OPD gang unit detective, was concerned about the content due to previous incidents. An OPD investigator also looked into the account that made the comment. The account was not following any local accounts or anything that would indicate the identity of the account's owner. A search warrant submitted to Meta led to the account being linked with accounts on Instagram that depict acts of violence. This is on WOWT.com, by the way. The detective served a subpoena to the account's IP address, and the owner of the address in question had a wife and 3 children, one of which was the alleged defendant. Now, the dad is saying that his son could not have actually carried out the attack. He's saying, look, I know what he said was stupid. He shouldn't have done this. But at the end of the day, he couldn't. He did not possess the means to go out and shoot this attraction up. And to that, I say, too bad. Too bad. Because it feels like every time we see one of these idiots that goes out and does this, the family just never saw it coming. In fact, in many cases, you could say they didn't even think they were capable of carrying such an act out. And then they did it anyway. It's the same thing as the pit bull moms that go on the comments and talk about how their pit bull would never hurt a fly until it does. It's the same thing. And I think it's good. I think they should throw the book at this kid and make an example out of him. If you want to make jokes about shit, it's no more slap on the wrist. Because we have too many people that are making threats like this and following through on them. If you think it's a joke to post, oh, don't come to school Monday, I'm going to shoot the place up, I'm going to shoot Scary Acres up, or whatever, you should go to jail. We should arrest you and prosecute you for conspiracy to commit a mass murder, for conspiracy to commit a terrorist attack, and throw you away. and tell people so that way no one's going to do it as a joke anymore when they learn, hey, they're actually going to track my IP and come and ruin my life. The jokes will stop and we'll actually be able to figure out who the real threats are. Now, here's my thing. Who targets a haunted attraction to shoot up? I mean, I always thought that the haunted house was where the people we were worried about becoming school shooters worked at. I didn't think it was a target. I was confused when I heard this. Now, I am a serious investigative journalist, a serious one. And I have a connection on the inside of Scary Acres. My cousin, who volunteers there. And I said, I did my real hard investigative journalism. And I texted her and I said, did you know this kid? And she said, no, I didn't know him. And that was the end of our conversation. So real hard hitting You see, I'm working round the clock, even when I'm not on the air here. Round the clock to bring you guys the inside scoop on the hardest hitting stories out there. This next one here, we've got some human traffickers that got busted. Pull these weirdos up. This is just a picture. People, they were running allegedly like a CP ring, and they were trafficking kids out of it and making all this nasty stuff. What sticks out to you there, Mia, in these mug shots with these freaks?
I'd say the smiling faces.
The creepy smiles. Like three or four of them are just giddy as a schoolgirl about this. That was a bad pun. I shouldn't have said that for this story here. But I mean, look, man, can't we just hang them? Go to trial, all that. But when that's done, can we just hang them? Why does the taxpayer have to subsidize the absolute scum of the earth? Because here's what's going to happen. Those people are going to sit in prison for 10 years. They're going to get out on good behavior on parole in like 6 or 7 years. And then they're not going to be able to find a job. So we're going to have subsidized their entire life for the last 6 years in prison. We're going to pay for all their medical care, and we know they're going to get shanked in there. And then they're going to get out, and they're not going to be able to find a job because who the fuck would ever hire somebody like that? And we're going to have to pay for their EBT. We're going to have to pay for their welfare. And those people that you're looking at right there that were trafficking kids and allegedly and making child pornography with them and everything, they're going to be the people posting the TikTok videos with the full fridge from all the shit they're buying at Walmart. And you get to pay for that. That's how this works. Hang them. They can't contribute anything to society. Maybe they feel bad about what they do. Maybe they don't. That's between them and God. But why should we have to risk them being out in society? We have two options. No one wants them out in society. So we have two options. We can pay to keep these people alive, which why would we want to do that? Or we can hang them. I think hanging them sends the better message. Me personally. Maybe I'm off the beat here. I don't know. I know the liberals want to like legalize that or whatever, but I don't know. That's my idea. This next one here hits a little close to home. There is a Papillion is pushing for a stricter dog attack ordinance after several deadly attacks in the area. So we've got, now the article calls them bulldogs that mauled this woman's pet dog to death in there. She was out walking on a leash. They broke out of the yard and attacked her and the dog and killed the dog. Bulldogs. Now, imagine a bulldog and imagine it doing that. You can't. I don't think the things could move fast enough to get to somebody to do that. It's pit bulls. And the reason they call them bulldogs are because they don't want the pit bull lobby. And yes, the pit bull lobby is real. No, they don't have money like Big Tobacco or the pharmaceutical companies, but they have something that's almost as good. A bunch of loud, obnoxious people with nothing better to do. So they're terrified, this 3 News Now that wrote this article, of calling a spade because they don't want to be harassed by the pit mommies, whereas we welcome that. Bring it on. You're a bunch of fat losers who contribute nothing to society. So it says in July, a neighbor's dog broke through the fence and killed Roxy, a leash dog being walked by her owner, prompting calls for stricter city ordinances. Multiple Papillion residents have experienced dog attacks, including Jody Sutton, whose chocolate lab was attacked by 3 bulldogs in 2016 and still suffers issues because of it. Neighbors want immediate removal of dogs. So here's what they're requesting, and the pit mommies are upset about this. They think this is an egregious violation of their civil liberties. What these people in Papillion are demanding: immediate removal of dogs that attack someone unprovoked, a clearer definition of what constitutes as a dangerous dog, and harsher penalties, including a 15-year ban on dog ownership for reckless owners. Now, could you imagine hearing that and go, it's the same thing as the trans community that thought Ed Gein, the necrophiliac that uses a chainsaw and wears his victim's skin as a costume, was an attack on them. Pit bull owners read that. Nowhere was the word pit bull used, but pit bull owners read immediate removal of dogs that attack unprovoked and harsher penalties, including a 15-year ban for reckless owners, and went, wow, this is an attack on us. Again, sweetheart, if the shoe fits, and it usually does with pit bull owners. Now, normally the diabetes and heart disease has swollen their legs, so it's harder for them to fit into the shoe, but it does fit. It is yours. You're going to the ball, okay? It's not a fun ball, but you're going to one. I think when they have this at the city council, because here's what's going to happen. This is what always happens. When they have this hearing at the city council, a bunch of pit mommies are going to show up. They don't have to be at work, so they're going to show up. They'll leave the kids with the dogs. Only half of the kids will get mauled to death by the dogs. So they're going to show up, and they're going to try to intimidate the city council. This is what happened in Bellevue. I know the city councilman who tried to propose a similar law to what we have in Omaha. The pit mommies showed up and bullied their councilman into backing down on it. So I think what we need to do is we need to find out when this hearing is going to be, and I need to show up, and I need to testify, and I will come with half data, half insults for all of the fat, disgusting ogres that call themselves women in the crowd. And we will see if I can make it out alive. Should I wear a bulletproof vest? What do you think? I think we can make a spectacle. I'm seriously going to do this.
Yes.
I think we can make a spectacle out of this. And I can record myself just getting screamed at by just some of the most disgusting women you've ever seen. And guys with face tattoos and stuff like that. It'll basically be you'll get a glimpse at what your tax dollars are paying for with EBT. And I think we should do this. I think it's a great idea. So full disclosure, we got alerted by a listener not too long ago. I've been working on a story, but I can't get a comment from the Humane Society. A listener alerted us that she was mauled by 2 pit bulls in a suburb of Omaha. And the pit bulls broke out of the apartment and attacked her and her dog. And the only reason that one or both of them is not dead is because a man who was witnessing it beat them off with a shovel. Multiple hits, they kept coming. Now, I don't know about you. I'm a big dude, but if you hit me one time with a shovel, I'm going to stop. That shows the killing machine monstrosities that pit bulls are. So, come to find out, the Nebraska Humane Society had taken these dogs in back in 2023, after another violent incident where they had mauled somebody else and released them back to the owner. Well, the owner didn't even bother to get the rabies shots for these dogs when she got them back. And then they got out 2 years later and mauled our listener. Come to find out after that, the Humane Society told our listener that as long as this woman paid the fines, they'd give her dogs back to her. So they can go out and maul a third person, or maybe just kill a small child this time. Who knows? And the reason they do that is because they're terrified of the pit lobby, because these people are violent, they're unpredictable, and they have nothing to lose. We are letting the literal bottom of the barrel of humanity bully our elected officials into allowing killing machines to freely roam the streets over and over and over and over again, while they continue to terrorize their neighborhoods, kill people's pets, assault old ladies and their children, and all this bullshit. Because our elected officials are spineless. That's what's going on here. So we reached out to the Humane Society, and I gave him a week to get back to me. And I asked a whole bunch of questions. I said, hey, do you alert people that are maybe adopting a dog that the dog might be violent? They didn't respond. I've got my list of questions. I won't read all of them for you, but I'll tell you what I asked because I wanted to get to the bottom of this. I said, hey, I'm a journalist. I'm reaching out. I've done a lot of homework. I've texted my cousin and I've sent this email. So I've done a lot of homework lately. But I reached out to him. I said, hey, let's find the email. It was a media request. I said, is our tip correct that this is not the dog's first offense, number one? What's the current status of the dogs, number two? Number three, if they don't pay the applicable fines, what will happen to the dogs? Will they be adopted out to a new owner, and will that new owner be made aware of their violent history? Number four, what is the standard process for evaluating a dog's history before releasing it for adoption back into the community? Because that's the thing, is they said it passed a temperament test. Now, I don't know. One would think that a rational person might think that a good temperament test for a dog would be, does it maul innocent people mulling about on their own in the streets? That would be the temperament test, not does it snap at me when I stick my arm in its kennel. The test is, are you like 99% of other dogs, or do you maul people that are minding their own business? Oh, you do? Needle time! I said, are testing standards and release conditions after an attack more stringent for pits? Are written disclosures provided to adopters about dogs' known risks, and do adopters sign acknowledgments? Does NEHS have any type of awareness policy to alert members of the community that dangerous dogs have been released back into it? How many dogs that were previously deemed dangerous after attacks have you guys released back into the community in 2025 after passing a quote-unquote temperament test? Have there been previous incidents involving other dogs released by your organization, and what changes were made to policies as a result? How do you justify releasing dogs that have now committed multiple attacks on innocent parties back into the community from a public safety standpoint? We were informed the dogs' rabies vaccinations were out of date. Do you plan to ensure they will be vaccinated and licensed as a condition prior to releasing them back to the owner? Will the owner be required to carry an insurance policy to keep these dogs? If so, how is compliance with that enforced? How many times must a dog attack a human before they're no longer eligible to be released back into the community? If a dog kills a human in an unjustified attack, is there a possibility it can still be released? If a dog kills a pet in an unjustified attack, is there a possibility that it can still be released? If a dog inflicts significant bodily harm on a child under the age of 10, causing hospitalization and or permanent bodily dismemberment, is there a possibility that can be released? And given that these dogs mauled someone else in 2023, then went on to 2025, reoffend in 2025, do you plan to reevaluate your aggression testing policy to prevent repeat offenders going forward? I said, please respond by 5 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Friday the 31st, or I will note that you decline comment on this story. They decline comment because we know what the answers are. This is a scandal. How many ticking time bombs has the Nebraska Humane Society released back into the community just waiting to get out and maul you and kill your pets and kill your kids that we have no idea about? Violent killing machines with a taste for blood and a violent history. How many of them are out in the community living down the street from you in your apartment building that you don't know about because these people are too big of cowards to stand up to these loser fat single moms with nothing better to do with their time than go scream at people over a policy that's just common sense? How many of them? Was that a good enough rant?
Yes.
Ah! If you have a pit bull, you shouldn't qualify for EBT. We should cut them off. Starve. The pit bull won't starve. It's going to eat your fucking kids. We know that much. Our dog slept through that entire thing. See, if he were a pit bull, he would have mauled me for doing that. Last one for Heartland Hot Takes. Senator Dan McKeon was accused by he's a state senator in Nebraska, accused by a legislative staff member of being inappropriate with her at a party in Lincoln. Now, he claims he was intoxicated and then apologized in a private memo to her and then invoked Bible verses. And I don't know what happened. To me, this smells like a hit job because this guy upset Pete Ricketts. We're not Pete Ricketts. One of Pete Ricketts' hand-picked candidates. He's a Republican. The guy he ran against is a Republican. It's a dark red district. And this is a pattern for people that go against Pete Ricketts. Charles Herbster was the favorite to be governor 3 years ago. And Jim Pillen was the Pete Ricketts patsy. Herbster was pretty much in the lead the entire time until he got accused of not sexual assault, but groping and inappropriate comments with women. Now we have this guy. Turns out the person he beat, Ethan Clark, Ricketts' handpicked patsy in his district, is married to one of the Herbster accusers. To me, this sounds like a hatchet job. This is their MO. Sexual misconduct. Now, supposedly the comment he made was this woman, this legislative staff member, was going to Hawaii for a vacation. And allegedly what he said was to have a Hawaiian lay. Like, get laid is what was said. Now, pull the picture up of the guy here. Here's the thing, guys. When you look like this, you can't make sex jokes. You just can't do it. Because he looks like the guy from Toy Story 2 that kidnapped Buzz Lightyear. You can't.
He's got a very patriotic tie on.
It is very patriotic. They picked a good picture of him. Looks aside, I think everyone's innocent until proven guilty. He's refused to step down. You can take it down. He's refused to step down. Good on him. I don't think he should. This is bullshit, in my opinion. But I feel bad for this guy. Here's my thing. Unless he did it, then fuck him. Here's my big thing, though. What is going on here? My thing is all fucked up. Here's my big deal. If you're a guy, let this be a lesson to you. If you're a dude out there, and I have no problem if you guys want to go out and have a couple of drinks, right? That's fun. I don't care who you do it with. There are certain comments that you can make, and this guy may have just thought, hey, I'm drunk, I'm stupid, I'm making a joke to someone I consider to be a friend, and it was inappropriate. That may have been what happened here. There are comments, and I have female friends, there are comments that I would make to my boys without thinking twice about, that I would never in a million years blackout drunk say to a female friend. Just don't open that door. I'm not saying they're going to try to ruin you. Don't risk it. If you see pictures of me on social media or whatever, you'll notice the last thing I went to, Allie from Nebraskans Against Government Overreach, she takes pictures with everyone that's at these events, and she took one with me and posted it to their Facebook account. If you'll notice something in that picture, both my hands are visible. I do the Keanu Reeves. Now, I don't think Allie would ever accuse me of something, and I don't make it obvious. I just have both of them at my sides. I don't think Allie would ever accuse me of something, but this isn't about her. This is about, there's a lot of people that don't like me, and if some retard ever wants to make some shit up and come at me with a hatchet job, I want to be able to have people go look through and say, oh, no, he doesn't really look like he's that kind of guy. He looks pretty respectful. And I got a whole bunch of women that I've worked with in politics and comedy and everything else that will recite that exact line, that he's always been cool to me. You know, people made fun of Mike Pence that he wouldn't even go to lunch with female colleagues without a third party there. I don't blame him in this day and age. When you got enough people that would relish in seeing you destroyed, it's nothing personal. You just don't take the risk. Don't give them the assist to shoot that three-pointer on you. People just have to be, and look, man, you're an elected official. I don't have a problem with people going out and have a couple drinks. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe if you're an elected official, maybe you shouldn't go out and have a couple drinks in public. Do a bonfire in your backyard with your friends if you need to let loose. I don't care. But maybe you should refrain from those parties. We were just talking with Chris Baker, weren't we, Mia, about how many elected officials are just degenerate alcoholics. And that'll air on now. I'm not saying this guy was, but there's a lot of them that are. This guy may have just had one stupid moment out at the bar. I don't know. But, okay. Let's get into the national news here. About time, right? Let's start talking about these elections. We're hearing all about the blue wave. The blue wave's coming in 2026. You know, we had these, California got their redistricting passed. Kansas dropped their redistricting to get rid of the blue district. We kind of saw that coming. New Jersey, the Democrat won for the governor race. Virginia, the Democrats swept, absolutely smoked the Republicans. What was interesting to me was the exit poll still showed Glenn Youngkin, the incumbent Republican in Virginia, had an approval rating of like 55%. So it wasn't that they disliked him. They all thought he was doing a pretty good job. That's a state that's, and here's what we got to realize. Before I get into the semantics and everything that happened, this is not time to press the panic alarm for Republicans. New Jersey and Virginia are what I call light blue states. They're not Massachusetts. They're not Illinois. They're not California. They're not Maryland. But they go blue 9 times out of 10. If they go red, the Democrats royally fucked up. It's not an indicator of what of anything, honestly, unless they lose it. They're states they should win by 8 to 10 points. It's like New Mexico and Minnesota and New Hampshire. Those are all light blue states. A light red state would be like Ohio, Arizona. You win by 5 to 10. If you don't, you're in trouble. There are states that you have to win, otherwise you're going to get dog walked, is basically what I'm saying. North Carolina would be another one for Republicans. So if you look at these 2025 elections and you compare it to 2017, they're actually about the same. You know, it's a big blowout. Well, what had happened 4 years ago was the Biden economy was a disaster, and Republicans rallied in Virginia because the transgender crap became a central issue. Well, Glenn Youngkin, the current governor, who's term limited to 1 term in Virginia, got rid of the transgender crap. That wasn't something they could stand on anymore. Now that state bounced back to blue. If you look at 2017, the Democrats swept those elections as well by similar margins, and then went on in 2018 to have a very disappointing midterm. They barely retook the House, and they lost seats in the Senate. 2021, the Republicans pulled off a historic upset and won the governorship in Virginia and almost won it. I think they did, and there was some fraud going on, but almost won it in New Jersey. They swept all the races in Virginia, dominated, and then almost won New Jersey. And people were like, oh, here comes the red wave. And we covered that one. And we know it was one of, if not the most disappointing electoral performances ever. So I'm not saying this means nothing, but I'm also saying this doesn't mean it's over. This doesn't mean the midterms are going to be a bloodbath. If we don't get serious, they very well could be. But this is not a good indicator of what's to come. This is an off election year, which tends to favor Democrats more, regardless. And this is what happens. So let's talk about what actually happened in these races. Here's the thing. Here's what we learned here. Is the only people, because Donald Trump was not on the ballot this year, and these candidates intentionally distanced themselves from Donald Trump. Winsome Earl Sears, the governor nominee in Virginia, I think ran a disastrous campaign. She not only distanced herself from Trump, but she also distanced herself from the moderate wing of the party. So nobody liked her. And she decided, I'm going to be out here on my island and I'm going to fight and die alone. And well, look what happened. She got her ass handed to her because she ran a terrible campaign. I'm not even talking about the yelling at the debate or anything like that. Her campaign strategy was stupid. She alienated everybody and then thought she was going to win. I liked her coming into this election, but she campaigned like a moron, and there's no way around it. Now, what we learned here, since if Trump is not on the ballot, Republicans don't vote. But when Democrats campaign as if Trump was on the ballot, Democrats do vote. What we learned is the only group more motivated to vote by Donald Trump than Republicans is Democrats. That's what we learned. You've also got Virginia. There's a government shutdown. There's a lot of federal employees there. Perfect storm. Now, the big takeaway from this night, it was not that Earl Sears ran a bad campaign. It was not that New Jersey's a mob state. It wasn't any of that. It was that a guy that we know as Jay Jones, who ran for attorney general and had some of the most horrific text messages about his political opponents, wound up winning by over 1.5 million votes in the state of Virginia. Pull the text up real quick. We got him down there. Yeah. These are some of the stuff he said. I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves. These 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets in the head. Talking about how the children, he wants the woman's children to die in her arms. I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. Do I think Todd and Jennifer Gilbert are evil and they're producing they're breeding little fascists? Yes. That's how he talks about his political opponents. This guy won by over 1.5 million votes. Now, if you remember, after the Charlie Kirk shooting, I came out and I played the videos of these cretins, of these ghouls, celebrating gleefully that a 32-year-old father was murdered in cold blood. And I told you that when we show you these videos, this is not indicative of the average run-of-the-mill Democrat. They're not all like this. And it turns out I gave them too much credit. Because what we learned from this is that while all these people may not personally want to kill you and your kids, someone else wanting to is not a deal breaker for them. If a Republican said he wanted to kill a Democrat and her kids, I would never vote for that guy in a million years. I don't know what I'd do. I'd vote for the Libertarian or the Green Party. Or what. I would not vote for that guy, though. Never in a million years would I vote for him. But it wasn't a deal breaker for them. Now, the governor, Spanberger, she won by 15 points. Jones won by about 7. That's the independents right there. The Democrats came out and said, we don't care. You could run Kim Jong-un as a Democrat in this country, and they would vote for him. Because this is the thing. When I talked about the left being insane and wanting to kill us in the midst of the Charlie Kirk thing, a lot of people, myself included, heard that and went, okay, well, he's not talking about all the Democrats, right? You know, my sister-in-law, my coworker, my cousin, my dentist, they're all Democrats. They wouldn't wish death upon me. And you know what? I agreed with you when you guys thought that. But they proved otherwise Tuesday night. Because here's the thing. Your sister-in-law, your coworker, your dentist, your cousin, they may not wish death on you personally, but every last one of them that's a Democrat, a quote-unquote reasonable Democrat, would line up and check the box next to the name of the guy who would. That's the problem. It's not that they want to kill you. It's that they don't see it as a deal breaker. They're okay with their elected officials wanting to kill you because you vote differently than them. The civility and trust has gone out the window. When the chips were down and they had a moment, or they had the opportunity for one moment to reject the notion of political violence, to say, you know what? My brother-in-law, that guy I work with, my cousin, my patient in my dental practice. I don't know why I keep going back to the dentists. Probably because I need to go. But they had the opportunity, all those people had the opportunity to say, they're a Republican. I wouldn't wish death on them and their children. Therefore, I can't vote for the guy who fantasizes about the death of them and their children so that he can piss on their grave. When the chips were down, they didn't do that. They voted for him. They're not all crazy psychopaths. They're not. But they all have fallen victim to the dehumanization of you. That's the problem. These are the people that yelled all about decorum and offensive comments and how disqualifying it was for Donald Trump when Tony Hinchcliffe, a comedian, went on stage at his rally in New York City and made a joke about Puerto Rico being a giant floating island of trash. They weren't offended by that. You know how I know they weren't offended by that? Because they all just turned around and voted for somebody who said something way worse than that. They weren't. That's what you have to realize. They're not offended by any of the shit they claim to be offended by. They weren't offended by grabbing by the pussy. None of it. All that's gone out the window because they just showed their true colors. They're not offended by speech. They're only offended when it's convenient for them, when they can use it as a weapon against you. Otherwise, they wouldn't have voted for this guy. He wouldn't have won. This notion that offensive speech is relevant at all and things you've said in the past should limit whether or not you're qualified to hold political office, out the window the moment they elected this ghoul. Gone. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Anytime someone says, oh, this Republican candidate had this offensive racist tweet, blah, blah. Oh, well, Jay Jones. 2 words, Jay Jones to all of it. Jay Jones. You voted for Jay Jones. You celebrated when he won. You don't care. Fantasizing about children dying so you can urinate on their graves is far more offensive than anything anybody could say. You don't care about offensive speech. That was a lie and an act this whole time. You never cared about the people you were pretending to be offended upon their behalf of. You never cared about them. You just saw it as an opportunity to score points. And you were using those people the same way you were using the quote-unquote offensive speech of your targets. You don't care about anyone but yourselves and winning. That's the message here. That's what they think of you. It's all about the win. Doesn't matter who it is. Don't you find it funny that they hold, like with the Tony Hinchcliffe thing, when Tony Hinchcliffe went on and said Puerto Rico's a giant island of floating trash out in the Atlantic Ocean, and they all got offended by that, pretended to be offended by that, and said that a comedian making an off-color joke at a Trump rally disqualified Trump from being president because he associates himself with these people, and then turned around and voted for a guy who wants to kill a woman and her kids. Don't you find it funny that they hold us to a much higher standard than they hold their own people to? If we make one bad joke, it's, oh, that is unbefitting of an American politician. He should resign and step to that Nebraska state senator that made the sex joke. Unbecoming of a politician. This is a disgrace to the office. He should resign. But murder isn't. Here's the thing. If Jay Jones actually went and shot that woman and her kids and then urinated on their grave at the funeral and was awaiting trial, they still would have elected him. It might have been by a slimmer margin, but they still would have elected him. The problem is with the rabid base, which is growing increasingly overnight. These texts didn't just not hurt him. They helped him with about 30 to 40% of the Democrat Party. And yes, it's that big. The lunatic fringe is no longer the fringe on the left. 30 to 40% of these people, they saw a guy who fantasized about killing you and your kids and urinating on their grave and said, man, I relate to this, because that's what they want to do. They rallied around him. This is all of them. Either want you dead or don't see someone wanting you dead as a deal breaker. That should scare you to your core, because no, I don't know if you've looked around. Nobody's turning the temperature down on either side. This is going to get worse. And they're going to continue to elect people with harsher and harsher rhetoric toward their political opponents, until one day they get somebody who's actually going to do something. And that's where it's going to get scary. The time for reason with these people is over. I said when we won the election back in 24, this is that moment where you're Isildur with the ring at Mount Doom and you have a chance to cast it into the fire and destroy it and make sure nobody can ever use it again. We haven't done that. Now we have to use the ring. Now we have to crush these people. We have to have a serious conversation as conservatives, now that we've got both chambers of Congress and the Supreme Court and the White House. We have to have a serious conversation about, do we need to strip half the country of their voting rights? And no, I'm not being hyperbolic. They are becoming increasingly extreme, and it's more and more of them by the day. It's spreading like a plague among them because they sit in their echo chambers and it's all they hear. And when you're getting it news from different sources and hearing all these different voices and opinions, bullshit like that bounces off of you. But when it's all you hear, there's this thing called group polarization, and it's very real. You sit there and kind of go, yeah, it makes sense. Maybe these people should die. I think you're right, man. That's when it becomes dangerous. They're becoming increasingly extreme. They're dehumanizing you more and more by the day, and they're electing people who reflect that more and more each cycle. The people they elect in the future are not going to become more moderate because the people that are electing them aren't becoming more moderate. So we have to have a conversation. How do we legally make it so these people can't vote? Not as a matter of, rigging elections, but as a matter of self-preservation. Because here's what you guys have to realize. Remember, I always tell you, yes, we all know there's different opinions on things. But people have different perspectives. They view the world from a different angle than you do. And the sooner you guys start realizing that, the better off we're going to be. You, listening to this show, the average conservative, independent, libertarian, whatever you want to call yourself, you don't like liberals, odds are. You disagree with them politically. You may say some nasty things to them when you have disagreements with them. Politically. But at the end of the day, if you were driving down the road and you saw a woman with a Kamala Harris bumper sticker off at a ditch with a blown out tire, you would stop and help her change that tire. The average liberal disagrees with you politically, and they'll say nasty things to you when they disagree with you. But the difference between them and you is that if they had the power for a moment, they would make you face the wall and shoot you in the back of the head. The only reason 30 to 40% of the Democratic Party has not killed you is because they would go to jail if they did it. That's the hard reality. The sooner you accept that, the better off we're going to be. And the problem is, the other 60 to 70% of them would stand by idly. They wouldn't even hop in and go, hey, man, maybe this isn't a good idea. They would just let them kill you. Why wouldn't they? They've already let the lunatic fringe grow. Many of them have joined the ranks. It's growing even further. They've stood idly by while these people have hijacked their party. They stood idly by while they celebrated Charlie Kirk getting killed. Why wouldn't they stand idly by when their cohorts shoot you in the back of the head? It's a rhetorical question. They will. That's where we're at right now. I wish we weren't there, but we are. We're not disagreeing on taxes and weed anymore. This is about whether or not they believe you are worthy of being treated like a human being or a zoo animal. You don't have to hate them back. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to start treating them like they hate you. Otherwise, we're fucked. No more soft campaigns. No more tiptoeing around tough issues, worrying about offending people. No more of that. No more worrying about offending the people who hate you. Look at the things that make these freaks happy. You should want to offend them. If you are in good graces with these lunatics, you should want them to hate you. You don't exorcise demons by playing patty cake with them. This is a moral crisis for this country right now. I mean, look at this. Jay Jones, completely scumbag, devoid of a soul. Let's look at how he interacts with a dog on Election Day. Let's see. Why did he try to kick the dog? What is wrong with these people? He tried to kick the dog. Now look. Hold on, what was I going to do here? I lost my place. I got... Sam Hyde did it great. Sam Hyde was a comedian. And after the Charlie Kirk shooting, he did a full intro to his podcast, and it really just sums it up. And we didn't play it on the show when it happened. I'm going to play it now. It was after the Charlie Kirk shooting and that woman that got stabbed to death on that bus in Charlotte. And he really puts it into perspective. Drives the point home. It's about 2 minutes long. Every one of you needs to hear it because it's the truth. Go ahead and play it. Yeah.
This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this right here is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you. And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped, when your children are castrated, brainwashed to hate you. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood. This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol that is you. But this won't last long. They can't help themselves because they're so ugly and so low that the only joy they can experience, the only good that they can envision is to take something beautiful or innocent down to their level. And when they can't do it, the next best thing is blood. This is Charlie's family, and these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad and grow up with a murdered father. And these are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie. The boats are burned. There's nobody coming to help. The barbarians are at the gate. This is the fall of ancient Rome that we are living through currently.
I'd go as far to say the barbarians are in the city. They're not at the gate. That's the only thing I would add to that. Here's the thing. I'd say we all are we are all Charlie Kirk, and I don't mean that as some corny rallying cry. We're all Charlie. No, that's not what I mean. You know, Fight Club, his name was Robert Paulson. That's not what I mean. When I say we are all Charlie Kirk, that's not me being a cornball. I don't do that. I don't operate in that. When I say we're all Charlie Kirk, what I mean by that is we're all Charlie Kirk in the eyes of those people. That's what you don't realize. Is to them, anyone to the right of Stalin is a fascist. Fascism on its own is an act of violence. An act of violence requires an act of violence in self-defense. We are all Charlie Kirk in the sense that they would celebrate if we were killed. They would. 100% they would. There are people in your life, and it's like I've said, it's not every Democrat, but it's enough of them that it's a problem. And the rest of them will just sit idly by while these people do it. There are people in your life right now, and I don't know who they are, but you do. If you were killed in cold blood because somebody disagreed with your political beliefs, they'd be happy about it. They might not publicly celebrate it, but deep down, they'd be thinking he got what he deserved. And I don't know who those people are, but you do. And if that doesn't scare the living shit out of you, I don't know what will. Because that's where it starts. It doesn't just start with people becoming violent lunatics. They plant that seed that violence is acceptable. And they just expose them to it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until they got a whole bunch of them walking around. And Thanksgiving has got somebody getting stabbed with a turkey cutter. Not an electric one, like Ed Gein. Are you thinking about the Ed Gein movie or TV show there? I don't know why we keep referencing it. It pissed me off to watch it. The other election was NYC's mayor. They elected Zoran Mamdani, the commie. We told you that. We told you all this was going to happen. We told you the Democrats were probably going to sweep, except maybe Miyares would beat Jones, and he didn't. But they elected Zoran Mamdani, who still can't bench 135 pounds, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. Out in New York City, they beat Andrew Cuomo. Now, we've got the vote totals here. Check out the votes. Pull up how the votes went down in New York City. How long have you lived in New York City? People that lived in New York City less than 5 years, 83% of them voted for Zoran Mamdani. People that were born there, 62% either voted for Cuomo, Sliwa, or one of the third-party candidates. So 34%, and then the others didn't vote. But 34% voted for Mamdani. That's insane. I'm sorry. That is insane. When I talk about a soft crusade in Europe, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean. They realize they can't beat us with weapons and invasions, so they do this. You're watching this in real time in the United States. It is completely insane that we can import people from other countries, pay for those people with our tax dollars. They live off of us. They don't eat or have medical care or shelter without our tax dollars. And then those people can turn around and vote to force the cultures of the countries they fled onto us. That is insane that we do that. That is self-destructive. That is suicidal. Societal suicide that we allow that to happen. Hey, we know you're coming in here from Afghanistan. You didn't like it over there. That's why you're leaving. We're going to make the American taxpayers who have lived here their entire lives bust their asses and pay to fund your lifestyle. And then you're going to turn around and have just as much of a say, you, who's not from here, and just takes their money, contributes next to nothing, but takes their money. You're going to have just as much of a say in how this country's run as they are, and you're going to bring a bunch of your relatives in, and they're going to bring a bunch of their relatives in, and then one day you're going to outnumber them and be able to inflict your will upon them. You'll be able to totally hijack their culture, the people that live there, whether they're white people, black people, Hispanic people, doesn't matter, the people that are from there. You'll be able to inflict the culture that you fled from upon them. How is that right? I'm not anti-immigration, but we absolutely need to be more selective about who the hell we let into this country. We need to start actually figuring out who's coming in here. What are your political beliefs? What are your religious beliefs? Sure, you can be a Muslim. What kind of Muslim are you, though? How extreme in your beliefs are you? Are you a communist? If you support communism, you're not coming to the United States of America. Doesn't matter where you're from, what your race is, religion. If you support communism, if you are sympathetic to Marxism and its ideals, you don't come to the United States. We're not allowing you in. End of discussion. We don't have to. You're a threat to national security. Sorry. We wouldn't let you in if you supported jihad. Why should we let you in if you support communism? Now, they're celebrating this. Look at this video from Mamdani's rally. Look, I mean, masculinity is back on the left. They've found their Joe Rogan. Check this out. I don't know about you. I can't understand why the Democrats just can't relate to young men. I can't understand why they struggle. I mean, look at that. You know what that reminded me of was the King of the Hill episode when Bill joined the choir. What was the choir called?
Harmonaholics.
The Harmonaholics. They brought the Harmonaholics out for Zoran Mamdani. They didn't just bring the Harmonaholics out, though. They brought Hassan Piker, the famed animal abuser, with his shock collar. He was at the party. Now, he got upset that he wasn't invited into the VIP suite. But check out what Hassan had to say about the U.S.'s old rival from the Cold War here. These are the people that Mamdani personally invited to his election night party. This is who he surrounds himself with.
Done. What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And the reality of the matter is, there's a lot of antagonism. There's no class consciousness.
Defeated the USSR, unfortunately. Unfortunately, he said, mind you, Stalin killed 80 million of his own people. Some through death squads, some through starvation. Unfortunately, the U.S. won. I know. Horrible. This guy's a nutcase. He's a Nepo baby, just like Zoran, by the way. Hassan has never had a real job that wasn't working. You know, the guy fucking plays video games for a living on Twitch, okay? He got a job with the Young Turks because his uncle Chank owned it. His parents are wealthy. He's a Nepo baby just like Zoran. So birds of a feather, right? Hassan went on later to say that this is the new formula for far-left candidates, that there's no excuse now. You saw what Mamdani did, just copy that and you'll win. Yeah, as it turns out, because he beat Andrew Cuomo, as it turns out, guys, if you want to run on a radical Marxist policy or on a radical Marxist campaign, all you have to do is run against a disgraced, corrupt old pervert that kind of tried to genocide old people in nursing homes. Oh, and by the way, there's another guy who's dividing his vote and taking even more of them away from him. You do that and you're golden. What race can I run? I'll be a socialist if I can run against the disgraced old pervert that tried to genocide old people with COVID patients in nursing homes. I'll dog walk him, bro. Let's do it. Where do I sign up? That's like, had a guy kneecapping him. By the way, you're in the most liberal city in the country. Go try that in like anywhere else. Miami, it's not going to work. Cincinnati, it's not going to work. Some of these they're big cities, but they're not as liberal as New York and Chicago. It's not going to work. You want my prediction for what's going to happen with Mamdani? It's not going to be good. It's going to be bad. But the reality was, whether Cuomo or Momskrani won, it was going to be bad. Neither, Sliwa was never, he was a nutcase anyway. Neither of those guys were going to improve it. Mamdani, though, will pick up the pace at which it collapses. It's going to be just like any other shithole liberal city, whether it's Chicago, whether it's San Francisco, it's whatever. It's going to continue to fail. It'll just be at a faster pace. Now, fortunately, he is limited in the scope of his power as far as what he can do because he is the mayor. And that actually makes it perfect for him because when he fails, and he will, he'll be able to blame that, oh, well, I just couldn't get everything done that I needed to do. If I was able to do, ironically, while talking about no kings, right? Ironically, calling Trump a king and saying, if I just could wave a magic wand and do everything I wanted to without, it's just a monolithic dictator, I would have gotten everything done. It would have been so much better. So we'll continue the no true Scotsman fallacy of that real communism has never been tried, which we all know it has, and it always ends in bread lines and death camps. The governor of New York is someone he's going to have to work with, Kathy Hochul, who we're not fans of, but she's a little bit more of an establishment Democrat, and she's got a tough re-election bid coming up next year. So she's going to have to play kind of that middle-of-the-road governor on some of his more ambitious policies. I bet he does a third of what he said he was going to do. It's all a disaster. And then whatever happens, happens. I mean, how stupid are the people that voted for this guy? How stupid are they? This is a guy who said he wants to abolish prisons, defund the police. And he's been clear. When he says defund the police, he means get rid of them entirely and ban all guns from civilian ownership. First off, I don't know how you enforce a gun ban with no police, but whatever. Second off, let's think this logic through here. So he wants to get rid of prisons. So what do we do with the murderers and the rapists? And do we throw them in the Hudson River? No, we put them in counseling. It's like Chris Baker was talking, it's I see the light. I shouldn't have killed all those people when he was on here earlier. No, they're going to release them onto the streets. That's what'll happen. They'll release him out onto the streets, and then he'll have gotten rid of the police, so there's nobody that can arrest him, and then you can't have a gun either, so you can't defend yourself. What's that called, sweet? Oh, controlled demolition. That's what it looks like. Right there. These people want to destroy this country. They want to blow it to the ground so that they can rule over the rubble and try to build something new from it, which won't work because they've never built anything in their life because none of them have ever had fucking jobs. Here's the thing that scares me about this guy, because I see a lot of the Islamists, and don't get me wrong, his ties to some Muslim extremists scare me. There was a woman from the Congo that he took a picture with that was supporting homosexual lynching. That's your left-wing hero. He wasn't, but the woman he was with was a big proponent of it. There's a thing, though, called taqiyya. I know I butchered that word, but it means Muslims can lie about how serious they take their faith. It's in the Quran. And I got to thinking, I don't know if this guy's an Islamic extremist. Like I said, the fact that, the people he surrounds himself with certainly concern me. The guy that was tied to the first ever World Trade Center bombing. The communism concerns me far more than the Islam. However, if he was one, if he was practicing taqiyya here, what better way to get at a country like the Great Satan, which is what they call America, than to take over its biggest city, weaken that city's, what better way to weaken a country, than to take over that country's biggest city, cripple its economy, disarm its populace, allow violent criminals to roam the streets and get away with it over and over and over again, and render the police useless if you were looking to weaken that country for a future Islamic takeover, for a future soft crusade like we are seeing in Europe right now and Canada. What better way to do it than that? Not saying this guy has a secret allegiance. I'm just wondering. It makes sense to me. It does. Speaking of corrupt old perverts, let's take a break from the serious stuff. Andrew Cuomo's election night, quote-unquote, victory party, they call them all victory parties, and then they lose, was insane. Curtis Sliwa is the Republican. He was pretty much the difference between Cuomo and Mamdani, so of course Cuomo is blaming him. Now, Sliwa didn't help. I'm not a fan of the guy. I think he's controlled opposition, whether he knows it or not. But let's be real. Cuomo lost because Cuomo was a dog shit candidate. If Sliwa weren't in the race, Cuomo still would have lost. It would have required all those people to vote him rather than a third party, rather than stay home. It wouldn't have happened. But that didn't stop the people at Cuomo's victory party from getting upset. There was a reporter for Barstool Sports was there. And when it became clear that Mamdani was going to win, started going around with a camera to all of the people, asking them if they had a message for Curtis Sliwa. And we'll play a couple of them here.
Curtis? I'll send it to him because he yelled at me today. Good. Hey, Curtis, you're a fucking scumbag, like I said all along, all of these months. You fucking got 8% of the vote. You split the fucking vote for the $7 million. You were a scumbag. I hope every New Yorker spits in your fucking face every single day. You fucking sold out like fucking Judas sold out fucking Jesus. So the 30 fucking coins is over. Go fuck yourself.
I know he didn't just compare Andrew Cuomo that stuck COVID patients in nursing homes so he could kill the state's elderly population to Jesus. I know he didn't just do that. It gets better. There's more. Play the next one.
Hold on, start.
What do you want to say to Curtis Canarsie? Why you fuck New York? Your own ego. Curtis, I interviewed you. I gave you time. I interviewed all the interviews. I interviewed Andrew. I interviewed you. I interviewed Jim. I interviewed Eric Adams. Eric Adams had the class to know when it was time to walk away. You stayed in for the money. It's not money, it's money, Curtis. Come after me now. Because I know why you stayed in this fucking race. It's who everybody you supported, and you ruined New York. And Andrew Cuomo was way better suited to be the mayor. Now we got Zoran Mamdani, who you probably cut a deal with. Go on record, come after me. You fuck New York.
So do you really think that Sliwa did this for this?
Where are they finding these people? It's like they had like extra invitations left over to the Cuomo victory party. And they go, who do we invite? They go, just invite the angriest Italian New York stereotypes you can find. Foul-mouthed, loud, pissed off all the time, god-awful Brooklyn accent that if I didn't know they were from Brooklyn, I think was a joke. And invite them. This reboot of The Sopranos fucking sucks, by the way. It gets better, though. At one point, they decided to just start chanting once it became clear that the race was done and over with. Go ahead.
By Soros and Maradami, he threw the election. Curtis Sliwa threw this election. Wake up, New York. Shame on you, Curtis Sliwa. You threw the election. You're a scumbag. You will never be loved in New York City ever again. You are a scumbag.
Fucking tell about Sliwa's a scumbag.
Shame on Curtis Sliwa.
He fucked the whole
You
fucking thing up.
New York City.
Fuck Sliwa.
New York City. You fucked New York City.
What did the sign say? I can't even read it.
By Soros. By Soros and Maradami.
Curtis Sliwa's the spoiler. I see that. I didn't know what the back said.
Oh, the back was like the percentages of the votes. It looked like he was tallying something.
How drunk
He
was that guy?
just keeping tallies throughout the night.
Here's the real question: is that guy drunk, or is he just a New Yorker?
He looks like he's just in New York.
So angry. They're so. I mean, look, we were at the Mike McDonald victory party that was not a victory party, and he lost, and it was certainly somber, and we were disappointed. We did not like the direction the city was going. We felt that that was just the primary, but we felt the Democrat was going to lead us down a bad path, and the Republican was going to continue to lead us down a bad path because she was a fake Republican. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember anyone making impromptu signs and screaming profanity at the camera. Do you? I can't remember that happening. Maybe it's just I'm not a New Yorker, so I don't understand.
I remember there was a little bit of it.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. It was you. You were the one doing it. Yeah. They're so angry. The New York stereotype party is what it basically was. Oh my God. Okay, we got to go to the... okay, we're done. That's enough crazy Italians. We'll go to the next one here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. So this one right here is... I can't believe we're not hearing about this. Arctic frost is the scandal that no one's talking about. This should be a huge story. So here's what it happens. Launched in 2022 as an FBI investigation under the Biden administration, codenamed Arctic Frost, which targeted a wide array of Republican politicians, organizations, and individuals in connection with post-2020 election inquiries. Served as a precursor to special counsel Jack Smith's federal charges against former President Donald Trump related to alleged efforts to the 2020 overturning the 2020 election results, particularly the fake elector scheme in battleground states. The probe involved 197 subpoenas issued by Smith's teams seeking phone metadata, including toll records, communications, and documents from over 400 Republican-linked targets. This included surveillance of calls to media outlets, including Fox News and Newsmax, congressional staff, and conservative groups. The Washington field office led the effort, expanding the multiple regional offices. They had politicians of at least 8 Republican U.S. senators, including Ted Cruz, and 1 House member, which were secretly obtained with some companies like AT&T ordered not to notify the targets that they had been subpoenaed for up to a year. Government-issued phones of Trump and Vice President Mike Pence were also seized with White House assistance. Organizations and individuals around 92 Republican entities were scrutinized, including Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, and other conservative groups, including figures like Trump campaign aides. No evidence linked many targets to crimes like the January 6th Capitol riot, yet they continued to spy on them anyway. So basically what you had was the Biden administration decided to continue the Obama era tradition of using the institutions, which we're supposed to, have respect for, because that was what they said, was Donald Trump is hurting our respect and our institutions. Using the institutions to terrorize their opponents. This is why I say we either need to destroy the ring or use it to make sure the other side never gets it again. Find a way to fix the stuff. Because here's the thing, guys. What you don't realize is this is a taste. The gloves are off. Trump has not crossed the line the way I'd like him to, but he's tiptoed up to it, dipped his toe over, and crossed right back. They're going to take that as a declaration of a full-blown war. If they ever get this power back, the gloves are off. There's no putting them back on. We're not closing Pandora's shitbox. We let everything out into the world. So the gloves are off now. There's no going back. The cat's not going back in the bag. If the Democrats and the left ever get power again, they're going to release an unholy retribution upon so many of us that it will ruin our lives. We will be fucked. What you saw under Biden, this spying on Ted Cruz and Charlie Kirk, this will be a drop in the bucket of what they're going to do to the rest of us. This is going to extend far beyond investigations and wiretapping into congressional figures. This is going to be, you made a Facebook post, so they're going to terrorize you for the next 6 months. You made a Facebook post, and the next thing you know, some patsy from the FBI is calling your job, trying to get you fired so you can't feed your kids anymore, lying to them. They're going in and they're strong-arming companies trying to pressure people. This is going to be where they go down the voter registration, which, by the way, is public. They can't see who you voted for, but they can see where you're registered in liberal counties, and they start jacking up the property valuations of Republicans to price them out of their homes. It's going to be such a dirty, mudslinging shitfest. They're going to take it to us. This is a test. This is a taste of what they've got down the pipeline waiting for us. They are going to beat us into submission. We decided we weren't going to throw the ring away into the fires of Mount Doom. We weren't going to cast it in there. We weren't going to make sure nobody else, like Vivek said, like I said, could come back and reclaim and do what the Biden administration and what the Obama administration before them did to their political rivals. If we're not going to destroy the ring, we have to use the ring to destroy the enemy politically. Okay. Next one. Nick Fuentes. This has been a big civil war. Tucker Carlson interviewed Nick Fuentes. And a lot of controversy. A lot of folks on the right saying, oh, he's a racist. He's a this, he's a that. How could you possibly interview him? You're legitimizing him, blah, 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 blah. And let me give you full disclosure on my opinions on Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, I've always said the most dangerous lie is one that's wrapped in truth. Nick Fuentes says some things that I hear and I go, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. 100%. That guy's spot on, especially when he's talking about America first and foreign interventionism, stuff like that. But if you get to the core of Nick Fuentes' message, what you have to realize is this is an individual who is very charismatic, and he's very, very good at coming off as much more moderate and grounded than he actually is, especially when he's on an audience like PBD, or a show like PBD or Tucker Carlson, which he's done both in the last month. He knows that audience is a little bit more moderate, and the guy is a hell of a salesman. When he gets his foot in the door, he can sink his teeth into you and, introduce you to the talking points that you agree with and find nuanced explanations for some of the crazier stuff he's said that he gets checked on. But then he starts talking to you, and that seed gets planted in the back of your head, and you start to figure out that guy says some crazy shit. I'm not a fan of this guy. I'll be straight up. This guy is a guy that has compared interracial marriage and someone having sex with someone that's of a different race than them to bestiality. So there's not that there's no difference, but he puts it in the same category as having sex with a dog. If you have sex with someone of a different race. I'm in an interracial marriage. Now here's where the Groypers will comment and call me, a race mixer or white genocide or what, which is fine. Go ahead. I don't care. Like I was talking about, I don't care about the liberals' opinions of me. I don't care about you guys. If someone's going to compare my marriage to me having sex with a dog, then that's not someone I'm going to respect. That's not someone I'm going to listen to. It's not someone I'm going to give the time of day. But that's the problem, is he's not going to say these things on the mainstream platforms. And I've heard a lot of people that didn't know who he was that watched the Tucker Carlson interview and went, oh, this guy makes sense. Yeah, this guy makes sense. He seems pretty reasonable. I don't know what the big deal was, but the more you listen to him, and I understand he uses hyperbole. So do I. What you guys got to realize, though, because that's the excuse I hear a lot of his fans make, is, oh, it's just hyperbole. It's just hyperbole. Yeah, hyperbole is used to push a bigger point. Perfect example. When I said, if you drive your kids to my house to trick or treat instead of making them walk, I will shoot your tires out. I'm not actually going to shoot your tires out, but I do believe that you shouldn't drive your kids on Halloween for trick or treating. You should make them walk. When Nick Fuentes says having sex with someone of a different race is the same thing as having sex with a dog, he doesn't actually think that having sex with someone of a different race is like having sex with a dog. But he is against having sex with someone of a different race. He is against interracial marriage. And that's fine, dude. If you want to marry someone that's the same race, I don't care. Everyone has their preferences. That's fine. I don't give a shit, right? But to sit here and act like it's some scourge on society. Like, look, you guys, we've been doing the show for how many years now? You guys know Mia. You guys know Mia. According to Nick Fuentes, I would be better off marrying some retarded liberal white woman with a worthless 4-year degree that works in HR and has pronouns in her bio than a Hispanic woman that's probably further to the right than I am. That's according to Nick Fuentes. The only thing that matters is race. I tend to place values at a much higher place than skin color on my hierarchy.
I also just won on Daily Quirtle Extreme, too.
So you're educated.
I'm very educated.
Daily Quirtle. I don't know what that is.
It's Wordle, but it's 4 at a time, and it's the hard words.
Good. Well, here's the... Play the Stalin clip real quick. This doesn't... Tucker fucked up here. Play this.
So it was like late December. It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was an admirer. But we don't need to go into that, I guess.
Well, that's... okay, let's get back to it. We'll circle back to that.
It was weird because the reason I mentioned that, it was almost like... Because I woke up that day and I was like, oh, it's December 18th. And I was just like very acutely aware of like, today's like a strange day. This is the day that the attempt happened.
What were you laughing about there? What was so funny about December 18th?
When he said it was Stalin's birthday, Tucker Carlson was just like, oh.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's the thing, is they never did circle back to it. When someone is on your show that wants to be a prominent voice in right-wing politics and is a prominent voice in right-wing politics, and he drops that bomb, you don't circle back to it. You find out, you stop everything, and you figure out what the fuck are you talking about? The communist dictator that killed 80 million of his own people, that's supposed to represent pretty much everything we oppose. Why do you admire that guy? Why? Now, Fuentes' big thing is he's one of the, the Jews are behind everything, guys, right? And you all know I'm not a supporter of Israel, right? I believe it has a right to exist, but I don't think we should be sending them our money. I don't like a lot of their military operations. I'm not an Israel fan. I think I'm probably the most nuanced person in media when it comes to talking about Israel. The Israel issue is what pushed young conservatives to Nick Fuentes. And I told you this was going to happen. I told you when Donald Trump started playing this bullshit Israel, Iran, Palestine, all this crap, throwing money at Israel and playing ball with them. And when they said jump, he'd say how high. I told you this is going to open up a door and push people away. People did not vote for this. Specifically, young conservative men did not vote for the United States to continue being the lapdog of foreign countries. And that's not just Israel. That's Ukraine. That's all of them. I told you, I said, you're going to push them into the arms of people who are more extreme, who sound really, really smart on one issue, like Israel. Fuentes is on Israel and Ukraine and all those countries, but have horrific views elsewhere. And then Charlie Kirk got shot. And people like that used it as an opportunity to get their foot in the door. But make no mistake, these boomer conservatives that can't calm their heart on down for Israel, the ones that have been having this erection lasting more than 6 hours that didn't consult their doctor because they're just so hard for Israel, they're the ones that push people to Fuentes. They couldn't let this issue go. They couldn't even give up a little bit of ground on it. Instead of having a nuanced conversation with people that have legitimate concerns about, hey, why are we sending so much money to this country that doesn't really seem to give us anything in return? In fact, it seems that they're acting against our best interests. Instead of having a conversation with them and defending your points because you know you couldn't defend your points, you decided to double down and give those people the shoulder. Well, those people aren't going to just go away. They're going to go find someone else. And because of that, you took a guy, Nick Fuentes, who at one point had about the same amount of views as we do on Rumble, which is a couple thousand, and made him one of the most prominent figures in the conservative movement. My biggest question is, why couldn't you have pushed him to me? Next one. And which one is this? Oh, Nigeria. So there is a lot of shit going on in Nigeria. And here, play this video of a priest over there. We've talked about the Nigerian Christians and all that. Play this priest in Nigeria first.
America, please stand for us. We are dying. America, I'm begging. Save our life. Look at this one. Let's use them. Let's use them. Please, why allowed us to survive? Please, send your men to come and save us.
Now, that has been a viral video because, as we've talked about on the show in past weeks, a lot recently, a radical Islamist group named Boko Haram is going around burning churches to the ground, executing Christians. In fact, they've killed far more Christians in Nigeria than we've had deaths in Palestine, but the media has been silent about it. By the way, Barack Obama and his administration funded the Islamic takeover of Nigeria, because the Russians often funded Christians in these countries, and there's this pseudo-puppet war between the two countries because nobody has the balls to actually hit each other. So the Russians would implement Christian presidents, and then Obama's administration and their CIA would go around and make sure that Islamists would get elected, and the United States has no problem partnering with radical Islamist groups. In fact, we created ISIS out in the Middle East. So we more or less funded this takeover, which has now led to the slaughter of Nigerian Christians. Now, I'm not a fan of foreign interventionism, but this is kind of our mess. We kind of caused this. I know it's not this president. It's another mess Trump has to clean up. This president didn't cause it, but we, the United States and our CIA, caused this. We went around and we installed these anti-Christian extremists, not giving two shits about what was going to happen to the people in this region, only seeing it as an opportunity to get back at Putin and Russia. And what happened? Well, they let Boko Haram and these other Islamic groups come in and do whatever the fuck they wanted to. Now you've got people with churches getting their roofs blown off and whatnot. And the left, because they hate Christians, is saying that this is not a genocide because moderate Muslims are being killed as well. Now isn't it crazy now they want to play semantics with the word genocide? They're only killing the Christians just for being Christians, but they're not trying to genocide anyone because they're also killing other groups that don't follow them. Well, the Nazis didn't just kill the Jews, but I think we can still agree they tried to genocide them. Here's a video of the non-existent genocide of a church in Nigeria. Go ahead. So, what do you think's more likely, Mia? Question time. That the radical Islamic group that has been prevalent in that area for several decades now blew the church up, or that they blew their own church up for TikTok clout?
They for sure blew it up for TikTok.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
had to
agree.
get those views and those likes.
100%. Now, here's what Donald Trump tweeted, or Truth Socialed, the other day. Trump said, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attacked our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. Now, I don't think we're actually going to get boots on the ground there. I want to make that clear. I think he's trying to pressure the Nigerian government into doing something. Hey, we'll even send you the weapons if you want to do it. Now, the Nigerian government, because the Obama administration has installed so many radical Muslims, decided to clap back. This is Inabihi Efeong, a human rights lawyer in Nigeria. He tweeted out, "Our reserve forces are ready for combat. America should not test our will," with this video of their reserve forces attached. Was that their reserves or an interpretive dance routine? I can't, what the hell's going on there? I can't tell. Now, Nicki Minaj has stepped up here and applauded the Trump administration, said, what can I do to help raise awareness for this? You know what? Unlikely heroes pop up. I'm not even going to make fun of her. I'm not. Who gives a shit? I don't care if it's the girl with fake everything that was popular when I was in high school. If she's who we need, then she's who we need. She's been a lot more vocal about this than the Pope, who's come out and gone ghost on this, denied that there was a genocide happening. The Vatican said there's no Christian genocide happening, which I don't know, Mia, I think that's kind of weird, considering a couple of weeks ago we had a Nigerian Catholic priest at our church on a trip that had been funded by the Vatican, talking about how they needed money because they were being genocided. And they wanted to rebuild their church and feed the refugees there. I find it, maybe the Pope should figure out what the hell his people are saying and make sure they have their message straight before he comes out and makes a dumbass comment like that. People always say Catholics can't criticize the Pope. I know so many Catholics who hated the last Pope. Like, all the time talk shit on him. I don't mind this guy. I think he's done more good things than he has bad. He's done a couple things that have pissed me off. But this just set me off, man. You're defined by a couple of moments. All of us are defined. We live these long lives, 80, 90, 100 plus years. And we really get defined by a couple of moments in them. All of us do. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, a lot of us are not even defined by what we did in these moments, but we are defined by what we didn't do. Pope Leo right now is facing a crisis. Maybe it doesn't fit the standard definition of a genocide. It doesn't matter. You've got a terrorist group going around killing your own people who you're supposed to be protecting. And you're doing nothing. This is his first big deal right now. This is his first major event. And he has dropped the ball. He said a lot of the right things, but when the chips are on the table, he has dropped the ball. Now, he's got time to right the ship. He can correct this. He can make moves to try to help this. But right now, this has been a disaster, and this is what's going to define his legacy. I mean, Pope John Paul was the one that basically helped collapse the Soviet Union. That's his legacy. This is yours. The guy who's standing by as his brothers in Christ get beheaded because he doesn't want to offend the people that hate him. Isn't that a common theme in this week's show? Too many of us are too concerned about offending the people who hate us. Newsflash, guys, they're offended by your existence. So you might as well start living up to that label. I got one more that we got time for. One, no, we'll see. Go to the Erika Kirk one. So the hug heard round the world. Play the video of Erika getting all feely and touchy with Mia's man, J.D. Vance, the former One Tree Hill actor, J.D. Vance. That's where we're going to start. He's no longer Vice President Vance. He is now former One Tree Hill actor JD Vance. If you guys don't know, Mia loves the show One Tree Hill. She found out today that JD Vance was an extra in it. They gave him like $300 to stand in the background and do some kind of marine exercise, training exercise. So she's going to go back and watch it. I'm telling you right now, there's a greater than 0% possibility that in the next 3 years, some Republican group is going to pay Vance to come give a speech, and we will be invited to it. And I'm taking Chris Baker, not you. Me and Chris Baker are going to go. You're not allowed within 100 feet of that man.
I'm gonna get a restraining order from
He
him.
is. Without even meeting you. But here's the hug. Don't jump through the screen here. What do you think? Inappropriate?
Nah. I mean, we talked about this last night. I wouldn't really be happy if someone was hugging you like that, but I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be.
No.
No.
I think people are looking for ammunition to use against people they already don't like.
Yeah, and they're being very scrutinized.
Yes, they are. Fortunately, I'm not in a position where every little move I make is going to be under a microscope, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people complain about the way she's grieving, that she was in black leather pants. That was a big deal. And that she hugged JD Vance in a weird way and all that.
Also, I think I said this too when we were talking about it last night, but like she's been spending a lot of time with him and Trump recently, hasn't she? So
Yeah.
she's probably gotten really close with them.
Yeah.
So it's not probably like not out of the norm for her, because they've probably been like comforting, you know?
And imagine if you were grieving and Trump was there to comfort you. I can't imagine he's too good. I imagine Trump's that guy who comes over and like awkwardly taps your shoulder. There. But here's the thing, guys. There's an old adage, it's a cliche, everyone grieves differently. And it's true. Everyone does grieve differently. Grief is something that is unique to the individual that's experiencing it. And we have no idea, the same way love or anger or anything is. And we have no idea how that person's going to act until they face it. You have no idea how you're going to act until you face it, right? None of us know. None of us know. But what we have to consider is not only is she grieving in her own unique way, this is uncharted water for all of us. We have never seen someone grieve, like you said, so not just so publicly, but with every little move scrutinized. We have not seen someone whose husband died way too prematurely have to turn around and inherit an unprecedented amount of power and influence and responsibility. We've never seen that before. So on top of her husband dying way too soon, in a gruesome way, in front of her and her young children, she now also has to deal with wielding an insane amount of influence and having all the spotlights on her. All of those things on their own are enough to fuck a lot of people up. You see celebrities that can't deal with far less spotlight than she's getting totally crash out and go crazy. What you're seeing right now is a woman who is just... I don't understand how anyone can criticize her for this, because none of you have been in her shoes and none of you ever will be in her shoes. Like, I'm seeing just gross things being said. And it shows just how little humanity these people have. I saw someone say that it's this conspiracy that's floating around on Twitter X, right? Twitter X is what we're going to call it now. Is that Vance is going to divorce his wife because his wife's Indian. And he's going to say, I fell for Erika while she was grieving. And we just fell in love. And they're going to use those two to become the next first couple. And that's going to usher in the age of white supremacy. Sure. They're going to use them as the poster family for white supremacy. Sure. Yeah, JD Vance divorcing his wife and bagging his best friend's widow is going to play real well with the Republican Party's Christian conservative base, I'm sure. That'll play real well. Absolutely. I saw another one, and it was such a despicable tweet. Like, it made me want to hit the person that wrote this. It really did. It said, let me see if I can find it, because I know some retard shared it. It was a quote from J.D. Vance. It says, J.D. Vance defends saying he wants his wife, Usha, to convert to Christianity because his wife is Hindu. She's Indian. And the tweet says, she married a racist bully, and now she's about to get bullied by that racist. Here's what these idiots won't tell you, is he didn't just randomly say, yeah, I pressure my wife to convert all the time. It's not what he said. He gave an interview, and it was actually a really interesting interview. It's on Fox News, if you want to go read the article. It was actually interesting, because it's something that it happens every day in this country, and most of us don't even give it a second thought that people have to deal with this. They have a unique marriage. He's Catholic, born again, adult convert Catholic. She is a cradle Hindu. The interview he gave was about raising their children in a multi-faith household and how they're going to tackle the question about which way the kids are going to go and how they came to the agreement about how they would be raised and what type of school they would go to and all this. I have a friend who's Jewish and his wife's Catholic, and they had a similar conversation. It's very interesting because it happens in this country, and a lot of us don't give it the time of day to think about it. And what he said, the interviewer asked him, he didn't offer this, he didn't say this is something that comes up all the time. The interviewer asked him, do you want your wife to convert to Christianity? And Vance said, and I quote, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved by in the church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, end quote. Mia, does that sound like a racist bully to you?
No.
No. That's, you know what that is? That is an honest, nuanced, and raw answer from a politician. You notice that the post I showed you didn't even quote that. They just made up their own story out of it. And I think what it is the people that are pretending to be offended by this are the people that are so used to bullshit, plastic, rehearsed answers from people like Gavin Newsom and people like Zoran Momskrani, who can't bench 135 pounds, and AOC, that they hear somebody just give a real human answer and they don't know how to react. What was he supposed to say? Guys, in the Christian faith, if someone doesn't accept Jesus as their savior, they go to hell. So when they asked him that, he gave an honest and straightforward answer. When Mia and I met, I was not a Christian. And I bet if you would have asked her, hey, do you hope he becomes one? She would have said something similar. They're not going to sit there and go, oh, I hope my wife goes to hell. If he either wants his wife to convert or he doesn't truly believe in what he claims to believe in. Those are the only two options. We have our deacon at our church. One of his sons is marrying a girl that's Hindu. You don't think that's something they have to grasp with? That's part of the multicultural society that you guys talk about how great it is all the time, is people have to come serious issues, things they take seriously and personally. And they've got to you don't think that's a decision people contemplate? Hey, there's a chance my wife may not join me in the afterlife. That's a serious thing people got to think about before they get married, dude. Like, it's religion and kids are pretty much the two things you can't disagree on, you know? So I don't understand why people are coming after him for this. I think it's like I said, I think at the end of the day, what it is these people know no low. There's no low they're not willing to stoop to, if it means they can use it as ammunition against the people they view as the enemy. I think that's really what it boils down to here. And then we got this other one that's going on about Thomas Massie, the Republican congressman. Now, pull a picture up here of Massie. And so Thomas Massie, that's him on the left and the right. His wife died of cancer a year and 4 months ago, and now he's remarried to a staffer that he's known for 10 years, and they got married 16 months later. By the way, she's half his age. Do with that what you will. He also looks a lot better in the picture on the right than the left. I don't know. Do with that what you will. Like I said, everybody grieves differently. Some people grieve by banging the interns. That's all I can say. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. We have one more we'll play. Go to the Newsom one. Go to the Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. Gavin. Look what Gavin had to say in an interview when he was asked about running for president.
You've said, as we've discussed, you are considering a run for president, and you've said you'll make a decision about whether to run for president after the midterms.
Yeah, I mean,
why do you, Governor, let me ask you, why do you want to be president?
I don't. I'm not suggesting I am. I'm saying, in response to someone talked about it, and I hate when nothing I dislike more than the politician that sits there and lies to you. And we all just sit there rolling our eyes going, give me a break. As it relates to that, there's nothing on the right. I'm focused on Prop 50. I'm focusing on fair and free elections. And to the extent fate, the future, there's an alignment. You have a big enough why. You have a what and a how. You meet a moment.
Nothing Gavin Newsom hates more than a politician who lies to you. Did you know that? And there's nothing Eminem hates more than a white guy that raps. You know? It just makes him mad. There is nothing that the CEO of Ford Motor Company hates more than a guy who sells cars. For reference, Gavin Newsom has a podcast. I listen to it sometimes. His first guest on that podcast was Charlie Kirk, obviously before the incident. Here's what Gavin had to say to Charlie when he was on the show.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed, he's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
Damn. Goddamn. That's old Wonder Bread Newsom talking to Charlie Kirk. Now, here was Wonder Bread about a week ago when asked if his son was a fan of Charlie Kirk.
That's your son, obviously a fan of Charlie Kirk. What was the conversation like between you and your son after Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
Well, he called me, I don't know how he got a phone, but he called me from school that day, really alarmed. And all his friends were around the phone that wanted me to somehow express or understand what was going on. He wanted to know if he was dead. He wasn't a fan of him as much as he was familiar with him.
Throws the guy under the bus after he dies. Goes back on what he said. So here's the question. Was he schmoozing Charlie Kirk or was he lying right there? Nobody knows. And you know what? I don't think Gavin knows either. Because I don't think Gavin Newsom knows the real Gavin Newsom. Here's the thing about Gavin Newsom, is I've known guys like him. They're not as successful as him. If you guys have ever worked a job in sales, you know guys like Gavin Newsom. And here's the problem with those guys, is their entire foundation is built on a house of cards, and it will inevitably collapse. You've all, if you've been in sales, known a guy like Gavin Newsom. What happens to that guy is they tell so many lies they can't keep up with them, and they get caught in real time lying through their teeth. And that's when it collapses. That's Gavin Newsom right there. I think Gavin Newsom has repeated some of his lies so many times, he believes they're true. Or even worse, he doesn't know what's true. But he's just lying to get to the next lie. That's not sustainable. That's a guy who, like I said, 30 years ago, in the 90s, maybe even the 2000s, would have been an effective politician on the national level. I can't see him getting past governor of California because there are too many receipts nowadays. There are too many receipts that we can go back and check where he said, oh, I banned the use of the word Latinx in my office. And then we see him using Latinx over and over and over again on different TV interviews. That's Gavin Newsom. We can go back and pull those receipts and crush this guy. That's the thing. Notice how he said, I don't know how my son got a phone. The reason he said that is because he signed a bill that banned cell phones in public schools. His own son doesn't follow his laws. Gavin Newsom's own son doesn't follow his laws. Why is anyone else going to? Gavin Newsom's best friend couldn't trust him around his wife. Why should you trust him in the White House? Ask yourself that. Okay, are we going to the positive news? Let's do the last one. Mia's got a positive story for her video. Feel good. Go down to the last segment down there.
Yeah, I just have a positive video. It is little kids going trick-or-treating on Halloween. Some of them, it's for like the very first time ever. So it's just really cute. It's just a little compilation video.
I didn't know kids still went trick-or-treating.
Yes, they do still go trick-or-treating.
Empty. All right, let's see it.
Here you go.
Travis Kelce video. Jersey.
Yay.
Oh my goodness!
My kids were cute.
Yes, maybe okay.
Trick or treat. Gosh, what a cute little costume. Here you go.
Way too trusting.
No. Hey.
It's like our friends do.
Daniel, give him that back. That's not yours. Oh my goodness, he just took. Daniel. Trick or treat.
Good job. One more time.
Trick or treat, bitch.
Oh my.
Trick or treat.
What was that?
Hello, may I help you? Come here. Oh, he's hugging you. He is so welcome to.
That's great. The mirror is what a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it. Take your kids trick or treating. No more of this trunk or treat crap. We were talking this year. We usually, we get a decent turnout, and this year on Halloween, last year it was 20 degrees. This year it was like 60, 50 or 60. It was on a Friday night, so there was no excuse. Nobody had work or school the next day, and we got half as many kids. What the hell? Stop with the trunk or treat crap. Stop doing that. Make them walk till their fucking feet bleed. It builds character. It does. They need to earn that candy. You know, at least the good thing about trick-or-treating was, yeah, you were going to go get all this sugar and bullshit calories, but you were going to walk it off. You were going to get like 30,000 steps. It was going to be like a night in Vegas. That's how I justify what I eat in Vegas. I get like 30,000 steps a day. And we've robbed our children of that. But that video was great. More people like that. I like the spider one. That was funny. Or the wine. You know that woman wasn't a real alcoholic because she shared her wine. Anyway, that's been our show. We will see you guys on Monday. Chris Baker joins us here on That's Based. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse. Stay based.